also North Stratford, that had every single piece that you needed to operate this new fifth cellular network. And sometimes I use the term LTE or 4G. That's sort of synonymous with the current generation of cellular networks. So pardon me, I might say LTE or 4G, or sometimes I'll talk about band 14. Band 14 is the part of the radio spectrum that Congress said is set aside for FirstNet. And so we put together these two different networks, two different sites in the network, and they're each doing little different things. So in parts of New Hampshire, there's an expectation that this band 14 network will actually get constructed just like AT&T, Verizon, and others get constructed. And yet it's a pretty rural state up here, and so there are parts where they're never going to be covered by fixed towers. So we've got to solve two problems. How do we provide fixed coverage, and how do we provide, I'll call it mobile coverage? Two different problems. Last Friday, I believe it was, with cooperation from Wireless Partners, which has expanded its coverage here, they hauled one of our radios up the tower, which was a 40-watt macro, which means powerful in our world, and aimed the antenna down here. So we've created this dedicated band 14 network just for public safety here for show purposes. So got some pieces. I got tower here, band 14, and then it goes off with fiber. Because for this network to be useful, it can't merely operate locally. It has to let you make a call to Grafton Dispatch, maybe to a hospital in Boston. You need to be able to get to the outside world. Now, interestingly, in order to run this network, it needs a brain. And a brain in this business is called an EPC. We're taking advantage of the operators of a brain that was set up for public safety. So in Los Angeles, they have a mission critical. That's to say it's up and running and supporting Los Angeles. LA RICS, which is what the system's called, has one of those brains, and the other one is Houston Harris County. So two big metro areas are operating these EPCs, these brains, and we take this fiber, and just like you could use the internet to read the Los Angeles Times, likewise it goes to Los Angeles to understand how to operate. The key piece of technology we built is called the HeadNet Gateway, and the HeadNet Gateway allows one simultaneously to have multiple EPCs attached to it. So we have the LA, the Houston, and we also have one with Parallel Wireless in Nashua. So it lets you have...
So you have one in Nashua?
Yep.
Okay.
So multiple operations, multiple operators. And then over here, you can drive many different eNode Bs. Now the reason that's important is right now a network operator like a Verizon or even LA RICS is stuck. You decide which eNode B you want to use, who's going to provide your base station radios, and you're stuck with that. We're trying to make it so that you can have a competitive environment. You put in the HeadNet Gateway, and you could decide to use a Samsung or an Ericsson or Alcatel-Lucent, Nokia. You can use any of them because this HeadNet Gateway orchestrates any vendor of those radios. And that way you get out of the trap of being stuck with any particular brand. Right now, Los Angeles was stuck. They could only buy from Ericsson, right? We installed the HeadNet Gateway. Now, we hope they use our eNode Bs. But part of the sale is when you put in the HeadNet Gateway, you can use my eNode Bs or anybody else's.
What you have that they're very interested in is we have what we call self-organization network. So if I had both of these systems on the same network, it would force the tower, would reduce its footprint so it did not step on the mobile unit, okay, if they were both connected together. And so as they get closer to each other, one's going to reduce the footprint, one's going to increase. And what that gives you is you can just, you can deploy this and it will set up its footprint. And if it finds out that you're too close to another tower, it will reduce itself. So you're not out there doing a lot of RF analyzing and you're not spending a lot of time on analyzing the area. You're getting these out there very quick. The other thing is you're also getting into the NFV because you have a virtual RAN that is seen by everybody as one RAN with this spider of RANs out there. So you're not only doing the RANs in the field, but you are now also, everybody wants to know that you're getting into the next generation of the NFV also, the cloud. So we also are doing that. And what it is you're going to provision once to your eNode B, and you're done. The last thing which we haven't gone over is we have a software which we call UniManager. It will map out where all of the devices are located by GPS on a map, Google Map. It will tell you every alarm that's going on.
And then we have these fancy handsets here. We've got a couple choices. The interesting thing about this is if you, for example, if you were at the county fair, you could use this phone for your existing Verizon service, your own personal service. And then when you got alerted that an incident was happening, you can switch over to this band 14, which is dedicated in the same way as your radios are dedicated today. So these phones have the ability to go back and forth between one and the other, depending on what the particular application is. So your next generation of phones that you'll be using cost a fraction of your current radios, and they're familiar to what you're using today. You all have smartphones of some kind, I assume, either Android or Apple. All the knowledge that you have from using those phones will transfer over to this new generation of public safety phones. One thing we're going to demonstrate later is, in addition to the phones, we have an application just like we have apps, but this is a public safety app called MutualLink. And MutualLink lets you do voice, like push to talk, and video, and also send data like email or send photos back and forth between these phones. So it's a public safety oriented app that lets you communicate in the same ways you might if you do Skype, or you simply make phone calls or send email, but again, a public safety specific app. Now there's another reason why it's important, and we've set this up with Lebanon and Hanover and Grafton County today, where they can, the MutualLink application can bridge over to your land mobile radio phones. And it matters for two reasons. One, you want to be able to do push to talk between the legacy system and the new, but also, supposing you decide this year you want to add one of these new fancy types of phones to your network. You can do that, and they can still talk to your land mobile radio. Or the whole town could decide to move over to this LTE band 14 system, and then you could still interoperate with the next town on their land mobile. So it makes it so you can move one staff person at a time, one department at a time, one agency at a time. You don't have to throw it away all at once. We brought in something about the size of 2 steamer trunks. And so it's got satellite capability on it, and it also has the ability to connect to the outside world using, for example, Verizon or whoever's the local carrier. It's called a pod or a star runner, and what we wanted to do was have a quick deployable. So supposing you're fighting a fire somewhere where there's no coverage, which might happen, or supposing you're in an area where coverage is going to be established and you need something temporary, you can take this very small format deployable, very small format temporary system, and you park it on the site, and a hitch that goes in the back of a pickup truck hitch, so it doesn't require its own vehicle. And you drive it out there, and you turn it on, you press a button, make sure it's aiming south broadly, and then the satellite spends some time in the sky, and then it starts chirping happily when it finds its satellite connection. And then it provides backhaul. Backhaul is the term that says, if I'm making a call, how do I get to the outside world? So it provides backhaul connectivity out to the internet or to make phone calls or whatever. So we also put on it a tower, which only goes up to, I think, 30 feet. And that one does something different. It's got a high-powered radio that looks out there and tries to see, is Verizon or AT&T anybody out there in the world? And if they are, I can use this high-powered antenna to pick up that signal that's 5, 10, 15 miles away. As I mentioned, we're using the Los Angeles and the Houston brain for backup. So you can go all the way across country and take advantage of it. Obviously, LA Ricks themselves could do it in California. So this is an eNode B, a 1-watt eNode B. Pat was holding the EPC, so should it be disconnected from backhaul, we've attached the EPC.
All we do is just go down. We picked up a SIM yesterday, plugged it in, fired up the unit, put the antennas up, plugged it in, connected to LA Ricks. LA Ricks, we now have a bubble. So that, what does this do? If you have to respond into like Hurricane Katrina again, they would drop these along the road to keep coverage so that the emergency first responders can get in there. You also can have, this one unit also can allow other CWSs to attach to it. So you can have one backhaul with other, what they call mesh. And they would be meshing along.
Daisy chain mesh.
With daisy chain, everything along the line. So that, you know, it takes how long to bring a cow in? 2 weeks? That's That's what they're figuring the calculation is. So that's a lot of time for those first responder guys to wait for communications.
Yep.
And this is where this benefit comes in. Now what he's going to be showing is he has a phone here tied into LA-RICS. I have one tied into LA-RICS. I have one tied into the public network. And that same phone he's going to switch back and forth between LA-RICS and the public network and communicate. We have one down at Stratford. Stratford is on the same network as this one also. And he's going to communicate back and forth with Stratford.
Right now I'm using band 14 to communicate from the handset over to the vehicle, the antennas, the stubby, thick one.
Yeah.
And then the Parallel Wireless 210 goes out and looks for a carrier LTE signal to complete the session. And now I've asked the Grafton County Dispatch if they would come into an incident for me, as if there's a fire going on and I need to be able to communicate with their personnel. So I've asked, will you let me in, will you join my incident? And they've joined it. And so I can show you around. You can see this is me here.
Yeah.
It says Parallel Wireless Demonstration. And this is Grafton County Dispatch. And they've joined this event. Do I have Grafton Dispatch? Thank you, Grafton. We're doing a demonstration here, and hearing your voice is all we need to know. Can you give us a time check and repeat your location?
This is Grafton County Dispatch. Copy is loud and clear.
Thank you. Let me release you from the incident.
Today, what we have done is we have set up normal consumer handsets, Band 14 Sonim phones, Veridium phones, over AT&T and Verizon to be able to, and through Grafton County Sheriff's Department, to be able to provide an interoperability solution for them to be able to share all sorts of resources, video, LMR radio systems, and be able to communicate on the fly.